So with the approval of 2 new drugs in 2020 for GIST, I think there is still, of course, a lot of room for improvement. A couple of avenues of improvement are to try to see if with increasing efficacy, we can even improve the toxicity profile for patients, especially once they switch from imatinib to second and third line therapies. And with that, there is an ongoing phase 3 study looking at ripretinib versus sunitinib to see if it would be, how it would compare in terms of efficacy and safety to sunitinib. The other big unmet need for GIST, and we hope there is more research done here, is for those patients with wild type GIST, such as the patient we discussed. Even though we can cycle them through all the available lines of therapy, these patients' outcomes or responses tend to be less to these TKIs compared to patients with KIT or some PDGFR mutations. So there are some ongoing studies. There is one with Temodar for patients with wild type or SDH mutant GIST. And we hope that there will be more studies that would target that population as well. The other biggest thing when you look at GIST progression is really development of resistance. So how can we tackle that when patients respond so well to frontline therapies? Can we decrease the emergence of these resistant clones and maybe help patients have a better outcome without having to cycle through so many drugs? For that patient, there are trials ongoing where patients have received a combination of imatinib with another drug. There was a MEK inhibitor, binimetinib plus imatinib study that was presented at ASCO 2020. Again, these are early studies and we'll need more testing because though it looks promising as a single arm of combining imatinib with binimetinib, only a randomized study will show whether the efficacy improvement is more compared to imatinib alone, and does that justify the increased toxicity that you would see with a combination. There are other things that are ongoing where you cycle drugs. There was a study of sunitinib alternating with regorafenib, and though you might be able to suppress different clones of resistance, there are challenges associated with such a treatment. And again, combining both the TKIs does lead to increased toxicity. So that's why cycling it. The other ongoing study that is available is a phase 3 study of crenolanib, which is also specific just to the PDGFR D842V population. And this study was actually ongoing even before avapritinib got approved. But now it probably will be used only after the treatment with avapritinib for patients with the subset of that resistant mutation. And of course, with immunotherapy, there was initially a lot of interest in looking at checkpoint inhibitors in combination with the TKIs or alone. There still needs to be a lot of research done in that area because there are some reports, case reports, and some trials showing encouraging responses, but while other trials showing no response in patients with GIST. So we still need to research that more. So this is an exciting year for the treatment of GIST patients with the approval of 2 new drugs. Avapritinib was approved for exon 18 PDGFR mutant GIST patients, which is a small subset, but these patients have been previously resistant to other TKIs. And the approval of ripretinib for patients in 4th line GIST who have progressed or intolerant to imatinib, sunitinib, and regorafenib in the previous lines.